another video on the custom home building tool. I'm going to load into the space that I just created last time, and we're going to talk about the main menu. So these are some deeper level features that allow you to define the way the virtual light is coming into the space, trying to match it with the real light, and the skybox as well. So as usual, we'll create, and this will spawn our new console. We can always take this guy and place him somewhere out of the way. Let's put him where my computer is, over here. And then I'm free to just use this one where I want. So, like I said, Skybox and Menu is the current title. And what we're going to do here is, let's try to flick through these different options. One of the things I mentioned in the last video, I'm not super convinced that I want to use my real wall here. So you can almost always access this simple editor menu. If I press B, it switches into delete mode, and I can choose to delete some of the objects that I've placed earlier. A lot of the selection in this builder mode is based on this object and whatever the closest editable object I have to it is. So say, for example, I wanted to move this plant, I could right now pull the trigger and it allows me to freely reposition and place the plant where I want to, although I was quite happy with this there. I could also change the size or change the color as well. But for now, what I think I want to do is delete this object that I had made, this hide wall object, because I want to see this virtual one again. Yes. And these AR flats don't need to be there either, because I'm not really going to use them. Good. Now I can see how the virtual light, which I believe is coming in this direction, is impacting the real wall. And again, you can toggle in and out of those ones anytime just by pressing the buttons on the thumbstick or on the controller. So let's go and just look at global lighting first. What we're going to see is a representation of where it is coming from. And generally speaking, when you first load, it's going to be random. The system doesn't actually know where your real lighting source is. In this case, it's actually gotten a pretty good guess. You can see, for example, if we change the global lighting source to be pointing this way, we're really seeing the impact of the overall lighting on the space. This includes all the virtual stuff and everything, as if the main light is coming from this direction. And it is in the skybox, but in fact in my real space, which is what I'm going to prioritize here, the light is coming from this large window here, which we can't see. So I feel a bit better, because I want this to match with the real life furniture. I feel a bit better if the lighting source is pointed this way, as we can see, lighting the wall over there and sort of matching the way that the light is hitting objects like this, which is primarily in from the front. And it makes me feel a bit more like the lighting on the plants is matching the lighting on the edge of the table. So to get the realistic blend, I tend to prioritize the real world light source. And then I'll see if I could do something about getting the skybox to be shiftable as well to line everything up. But that's it. Right now for lighting, there's also options to change the tint of the lighting color, as well as the intensity of the color if I really want to pull the overall light down a bit. It's not super bright in my real space, to be honest, so it does serve me well to pull the general lighting down just a little bit more. Yeah, that feels good. Okay. Sound effects is interesting. So right now it's just silence, but if I'm actually in a cabin and I'm up in the mountains, I might want to add soft wind atmospheric sound. And I can kind of pull that down. Let's try this one actually. Let's disable the first one. Yeah, this one's a bit even softer. But I like the windiness of it. So that I can add multiple layers of different sounds to create a soundscape to match the environment outside. I'm not going to keep this too loud for right now, but it's quite pleasing for me to hear suddenly the sound around me of this space that exists. All right, back to my cabin. From the options here, we've talked about sound effects, global lighting. How do you use the tools is basically, it takes you to the menu that you're presented with when you first load the app, which is a small bit of text tutorials that give an overview of the things that I'm talking about here. Launch Home at App Startup. When you launch Custom Home Mapper from the Oculus Home, traditionally it takes you into the Blue Room with the option to choose between all of the different games and experiences. If you turn this on, however, it'll go straight from Blue Room into here. So perhaps you prefer to use the app as a chill out space. Perhaps you enjoy the multiplayer features and you enjoy being able to share this home living space with your friends and feel like people have come to join you in your space. You might just want to turn that on so that every time you load the app, you jump right in here. Assist on is really these extra helpers that exist, kind of small text tutorials locked to your hand. I'm going to keep those on for the sake of this tutorial. And that's the gist of it. We talked about SKYBOX. Similar to how we can edit the wall colors, we can edit the overall balance of color that's coming out of the SKYBOX. So let's say I want to actually pull some red out of that, because I pulled red already out. Let's pull a yellow, taking down the reds and the blues a bit. Yeah, that's a bit more what I want. It's a bit dimmer, which for me is a better match for the real surfaces I have in my room. So, wood cabin. We're getting there. And that's it for the overall SKYBOX and menu. The next thing I'm going to talk about is add objects, and we're going to go a lot further now in really constructing the space around us. You'll notice by default it doesn't place a roof above your space like you saw with the floor. The flooring system is a bit approximate as it tries to define a set of space underneath you that's inside the room. But it's up to you how you want to open up your space or close it. What we'll do in the next bit is we'll contain this to look a bit more like a room, and we'll start to go through some of the real specific parts of the Add Objects menu. But before I do that, I'm going to save again, and I'll see you in a sec.